Hello friends and welcome back for another Heffy Doodle video. This is Cassie. Today we're going to be making a mini slimline that is interactive, so let's talk about what we're using. I have the bed heads stamp set along with the matching die, and then here's our little interactive element. This is the mini double slider, so yes, we're going to have one of those on there. It's just such a cool thing. If you've never seen it, you'll love it. And then I have the Get Well Soon Heffy cut down here at the bottom, so we're going to use that as well. And then I also have some Heffy Doodle alcohol marker friendly cardstock, along with some other pieces that I'm going to need to make this mini slimline. To save a little time, I went ahead and stamped out all of my images using some Blackout ink onto that alcohol marker friendly cardstock. And I'm going to start by using the color I have up on the screen. We're going to color the headboard and the base of our bed using that E35. And I have this sped up double time, so typically I don't color this quickly. But I will say that when I do sort of like little scenes, typically, I mean, sometimes I'll go crazy with color, but it seems like my typical go-to is to pick about 3 colors that I want to focus on, and then I'll go from there. And so in this case, I'm using some browns. I'm going to use some greens, like a lime green, and then we're also going to use some pinks. And so I'm just I put down my lightest color, moved to my darkest, and then went back to my lightest color to kind of blend that out. And I didn't go real dramatic here. And then we're going to come in with some YG21. That's going to be the color of our pillows. And then we'll bring in YG25, and that will be our darker color here. Just putting the shadowing and shading where I think it might go. And then we'll add it to the edges here and then bring in that YG21 again just to blend that out just a little bit. I like how that softens those edges and makes it look like there is light on the middle of the pillow. And then we're going to do that just on a few of the other little elements. This is what I was talking about, just trying to figure out where I want that green to go, because we're going to have a little pink pig. Now, I oftentimes when I'm coloring a pig, I don't pick pink. I know that seems kind of funny because that is like the go-to that people usually do. But for whatever reason today, I was thinking pink. All right, so now we'll move on to those pinks. I've got some RV42. That is my lightest color, and I'm just going to put that all over my pig and also all over the little medicine bottle. I will eventually go back in and use that for my flowers, but I'm only, again, using a 2-color blend. You could bring in 3 and make it really dramatic, but I just decided to go with 2. So keep that in mind if you're fairly new to Copics, that you don't have to have all the colors. Sometimes just 1 or 2 will do it for you. You know, obviously if you want to step up your game, add even more colors, but oftentimes I find that 2 works just fine. So then we'll go back in with that color again and deepen it up just a little bit, and then we'll color our little nightstand. I'm not going to use all of these images on the front of my card since this is a mini slimline. That bed is basically going to fit perfectly on the front of a mini slimline. And if you are unaware of what mini slimline is, it is a smaller card that measures 3 inches by 6 inches when it is closed. So that bed will take up a good portion of that. So now I'm bringing in just some W Copics to add a little bit of shadowing and shading for the sheets, and then just other little areas like the Kleenex and the bottle. And then I decided on the top of that little water bottle it needed to be a little darker. I'm going to bring in the matching dies that you can get with this set, and I'm going to tack that down with a little bit of washi tape. And then I will run these through my mini die cutting machine. And then when those are all die cut out, I am going to stamp this onto some of this pattern paper. I'm going to be using this for the background as well, but I wanted the bedspread to match, so we're going to do paper piecing. It's an oldie but a goodie. I love this technique. I used to do it all the time when I first started stamping. So I'll just stamp that, and then I'm going to cut all along the edge, the black edge. And then because I don't want any of the white paper to show, I'm going to bring in a Memento Tuxedo black pen and just rub that along the edge of my die or my fussy cut piece. And then we can attach this down to the bed, and you'll see how cute that looks, like this little patterned comforter. I love it. So cute. And then we're going to glue down the little water bottle on top of our little pig's head, and then we can start kind of figuring out our mechanism. So I have some cardstock cut. I have this piece of packaging. It's just some leftover packaging, and I'm going to show you how to put this together. So I've put a little bit of 1/8 inch score tape on the top of that piece of packaging, and then I'm going to wrap this around, kind of do it a little bit loosely. You don't want it to be too tight, and then you can cut off any of the excess. So just measure what you'd need to be inside this little piece. It almost looks like a little spool looking piece. And then our next step would be to take another piece of 1/8 inch score tape and put that right over the top of what you just did. You can tack down one of these pieces. I already die cut all of this out, as you can tell. Then I'm going to flip it over and put another piece of 1/8 inch score tape at the very bottom. And then we can peel that off and we'll stick this one down on the other side. Now, I did mine a little bit tight, so make sure that yours isn't so tight. It works fine. You just have to kind of manipulate it a few times, kind of use it. The more you use it, the better it is. And then now, you didn't see me do it, but I did die cut out a notch with one of the other dies. I'm put that right at the bottom of our piece of this Desert Storm cardstock, and then I'm measuring how high I want that to be, so I'm going to trim that down a little bit more. I wanted that to just be right at the top of our mechanism. And I want my pig to pop up from behind the covers, so I'm going to trim these two pieces apart. But here's where you're going to see how this is actually going to work. So I'm going to put this little pig on there, kind of set him on there and see how he's going to look and measure exactly. Well, I got to keep it closed first, but I want to see where he's going to pop up from behind there. So it's just kind of a matter of playing around with things and deciding how you want it to go. And once I've figured that out, I am going to do something special with the die cut for the pig. I don't like or don't want any of that Neenah Desert Storm cardstock to be showing, so I'm going to tack down my die, and then I'm going to take my plate and put it right up against the edge where I don't want it to cut. And where that will be, it will only cut where the two plates overlap. So I'll have a small piece at the bottom that isn't cut through. And then we can trim that away, any of the excess. And then I can just take my little pig and attach him down to the top of that and not worry about any of that Neenah Desert Storm cardstock showing from behind. So it'll look pretty flawless. I love doing that. So we'll close him up. And we keep testing, so that's just like my thing. I just keep testing. Now there's a couple different ways to do this. I am going to attach this right down to my panel using some liquid glue. You could use foam tape, and I've done that in the past. It does make it a little bit bulkier, but you're going to need foam tape on the other edge of it, so that's why I didn't want to do that. So I'm just putting one layer of foam tape behind, but otherwise his little notches are only glued to the front. And then I'll take this little piece and attach it down. This is going to let the recipient know that this is interactive and you're going to want to pull down. I kept the arrow and then I colored that with one of the pink Copics, and then I'll just attach that into the little space for the arrow. And then he's ready to go. Again, I keep playing with him. So here I've got that, and I'm going to see where my bed is going to work. Oh, it's just going to be so fun to have that. But before I do that, I decide I do want to make this look like a floor. So I'm going to grab some Copics and I'm going to freehand a floor. It's not going to be perfect, but it's okay. It doesn't have to be. That's not really the focus of our card. But I did want it to look like maybe a hardwood floor. So I'm just bringing in those Copics that I used earlier, and then I will bring in a lighter one even and just blend that out just a little bit so it's kind of not so harsh. But a lot of that's going to get covered by the bed anyway. So I'm going to attach this part down to the front of our card. And it's just, I don't know, I just love it. I love how this is going to work out. I'll peel off that release paper on the back and we'll stick this down to the front of our panel. And watch him pop up. And then I can attach down the headboard behind him. Pardon my head. Now the next step we need is a sentiment. And so for that sentiment, once again, I'm going to use the Get Well Soon Heffy cut. And I'm going to use some Heffy Doodle Razzleberry cardstock. I cut this down and I ran that through my 3-inch Xyron sticker maker. And for the Get Well Soon Heffy cut, we're going to run this through our die cutting machine 3 times because I want to stick these on top of each other, make it look like it is a little bit more like chipboard. But using the sticker paper will just make it that much easier to tack down to each other and to our card panel. So I'll peel off the release paper on each one of those and tack that down, and they'll be 3 deep, like I said before. And when I have all of those done, we'll peel off the release paper of those, kind of center those up, and then peel off that release paper. It can be a little bit finicky because these are so small, but this is why I like using the sticker paper over just using some liquid glue. I feel like I would have had a lot more seepage, well, a lot of seepage, if I had tried to use liquid glue. And the nice thing about the sticker paper is it gives you a little bit of wiggle room, but you will have a few seconds. And then once it's down, it's down. Our card base measured 6 inches by 6 inches, and I scored that at 3 inches. And so then on the inside of the card, that's where the rest of those pieces are going to go. I'll just use that liquid glue and attach those down. We'll have our little nightstand along with some flowers and some medicine. I do love bringing in the outside to the inside, finishing off my cards that way. I always think it's fun. And then I do need to bring in a sentiment from our stamp set. That Bedhead stamp set has some cute ones. So we've got wishing you a speedy recovery. And that'll finish the inside. So now I can just take my liquid glue and put that all over the back of our panel and attach that down to our card base. But I don't want to stop there. You could bring in embellishment, but I decide I'm just going to use some glossy accents and trace over my words. So that way when this dries, Get Well Soon will be nice and shiny. But check it out. I just love this little fun interactive. And if you're not feeling good, how fun would a little interactive card be, right? Oh, I love it. So if you liked this card, go ahead and hit that like button and definitely consider subscribing if you haven't already done so. Huge thanks for all the support that you guys give me, whether it be through liking and subscribing or using my affiliate links or even just watching. You guys are incredible, and I hope you have a great day. Bye, everybody.